This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today.
Mark, I thought I'd share a story about my work history today. So I once got fired for having sex at work. So my boss walked in and caught me in the act. I argued back saying, look, she was just laying there when I got here. What was I supposed to do? And he replied, the fucking autopsy, which, to be fair, was a good response. I didn't mind that he said that to me. What really hurt is he told me I was the worst veterinary nurse he'd ever worked with.
Oh, dude, why? Why bring it down that way?
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes he tells sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review. My name is Scott.
And my name is Mark.
And we are a horror movie review podcast, as the title would lead you to believe. So if you got here and you were expecting something else, you're stupid. Hi. We are an interactive show, so we let you pick the movies here. You also get involved in various different interactive ways. Best way to get involved in the show is go and follow us at You Run Podcast everywhere. Any social media, pick one, type in at You Run Podcast, you'll find us. You can also send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com. You can also leave us a comment on Spotify, and you can also send us a voicemail. We have all of those. Also, while you do go and follow us on Instagram, while you're there, follow my wonderful co-host who has a lovely dildo mark across his head today.
I do, it's very sore. Very sore.
Do you want to share the story? Because you shared it with me and I think it's listener worthy.
Yeah, well, I shared it with you because it's like a relatable story. We're both in the trade. To me, to explain it to everybody else, it's just going to be like, I don't get it. I just walked into a pole, basically, is what I did, and nearly knocked myself out. It's very painful. Very painful.
Yeah. So you have like a red line that runs across the top of your head. It does look like Diddy slapped you.
It looks like I've been slapped by a dildo, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Man, it was the weirdest thing. I think I've actually got slight concussion.
This episode should be fun then. As I say, make sure you follow Mark. He's at Reviews from the Crypt and at VHS from the Crypt. And he needs your support now more than ever because he's got concussion and he's going to be off work writing reviews. So now's the time
to... I'll soldier on. I'm a brave man.
You trooper, you. Also, while we're here, shall we address the elephant in the room, the thing that seems to have appeared on your face?
Yes, mustache. This started out as a bit of ban. I mean, I don't even think you can really see it. It's pathetic, I'll be honest with you.
It's there. I can see it.
It just started a conversation at work. I just hadn't shaved for like a few days. I've got a newborn baby. I don't have time to do things like self-care. And it was like, oh, you should just leave the tash and shave the rest. So I did, for thinking it was funny, and now I look like I'm trying to get children into a van. So what I'm kind of waiting is for the rest of it to sort of come back to some sort of normality so I can blend the rest of it back together. Because I can't shave this off, because if I shave this off and the rest of it's clean, I'll look about 14. So I'm just having to wait for the blending period now. So I'm staying clear of schools for the next week or so until we get back to some sort of normality with the facial structure.
I do get a feeling this episode's going to be rather weird.
Or do you not feel bonita? I feel bonita.
The only other thing I could do is I could keep it going and see if I can get a Twizzler on it. That would be very sick.
When mine gets long, I can proper twist it up and it does the proper curl over. But yeah.
Oh, you should do that. You should do that. That would be amazing.
Well, Movember's coming. Maybe we'll grow weird moustaches and beards for November.
Yeah, I think even if I left this till the end of November, I don't think it would look any different. I'll be honest with you.
We are running a competition at the moment. If you want to win 3 pieces of merchandise, all you need to do is leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, screenshot it and send it to one of us on the social media platforms. If you've already done that, you can enter by leaving a comment on Spotify. Any comment you want. Just comment on an episode with your thoughts or an insult or just I've entered, anything like that. It will put you in the draw to win a prize. And every time you do it, so if you comment this week and next week, that's 2 entries into the draw. We'll draw it in the new year. And it helps us as well because every comment we get on an episode pushes our episode further into the algorithm. And Spotify go, loads of people are commenting on this. Let's make more people hear it. So it helps everyone out. Like I said, we get voicemails. And last week we covered a movie that neither me nor Mark thought was any good. You all disagreed quite violently, I think is the... In honesty, the listener's done this to us this week.
I knew this was coming. I knew it was going to come this week.
They turned on us bad.
Yeah.
But
I want to know which percentage of the people who are coming at us, when was the last time they actually watched this movie?
I think some of them addressed that, but we've got some other messages that aren't as aggressive, and we're going to start with those. We're going to start with the most mild message and work our way up to the person who quite honestly...
So just chill out. You know, drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie, quit murdering people.
So we'll start with the most tame first. So here's the first message.
Hi Scott, I've got a 1-question quiz for Mark. There's no point in asking you this question because you'll know the answer by the time you read it to Mark. So the question is, what is the exact date at the opening to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974?
What the fuck is this random pro-conspiracy shit on the opening? I haven't even warmed up yet.
Barry just sent it to me. I guessed as soon as he messaged me, and I was 3 days out, so I was pretty close, but I got it wrong.
I think it's August, if I remember rightly. I want to say the month of August. And something tells me the 14th, but something in my mind is also telling me the 23rd. 23rd of August.
What year?
1973. I think I'm well out on that, I think.
You were about as close as I was. I said the 15th of August 1973. It's the 18th of August 1973.
Yeah. See, that's still that, considering that I've just been dropped to like an absolute bombshell out of nowhere. Cheers for that, Dave.
That wasn't Dave. Fuck? Oh, it was you guys. Forget you call him Dave. that is Barry. Wolfman's got nards. That is like YouTube royalty. Yeah. Anyone else who wants to drop random questions into Mark, like, feel free. If I get.
I think that was a pretty good effort. I think that was a very good effort.
I think it was a really good. If I get enough questions in messages over the next 5 weeks, in one of our Christmas episodes, I'll hit Mark with a broken spirit from all of you, and I just won't be involved at all.
More to the point, I want to know why he's coming at me. What have I done to upset him?
Probably called him Dave McRae for the last 3 years. May have something to do with it. Yeah,
possibly. I think he likes it now, though.
Yeah, I think
he's starting to accept it for what it is.
We got another message. This one is from a regular caller to the show. This is from Heather.
I'm not going to stand to be bullied. Even though I did bully y'all, I'm still right. And it is Moira. It's not Myra. That's a totally different name. It's not a pronunciation problem. Well, it is on your guys' part, but it's not like a pronunciation. It's not like I'm going to call you Mark, and then I'm going to call you Joseph. That's like a different name. No. And again, why we always got to go back to this aluminium crap? I get it. You guys probably know more of the, have more of the correct proper term. Whew, I'm out of breath. But that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to keep listening to the Death Becomes Her episode and be prepared to be roasted again if y'all, because I know y'all are going to talk shit about it. Because I know. But we'll see who gets it where. Okay, anyways, bye.
See, she just proved her own argument wrong. My name is Mark, but she calls me Mark. So, like, therefore, it is definitely a dialect thing.
Also, Heather didn't come back at us with another message about Death Becomes Her. She messaged me and basically went, "You're an idiot."
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll keep these rolling. This is from... I'll just play it. We'll work out who it is in a minute.
All right, fellas. So I'm picking a side on this one because I took, I rode the fence on the I Know What You Did Last Summer. But no, Death Becomes Her is a fucking 5 out of 5 movie. No, but for me personally, though, guys, like, it's because it was a good introductory horror when I was a child. I saw it very young age and was also watching Tales from the Crypt and Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock movies and stuff like that. So that's what I compared it to. It was very much like a 1990s, almost very Hitchcock. The score sounds very Hitchcock. And plus Robert Zemeckis doesn't really have a miss in my book. But yeah, that's really all it is. It's just very nostalgia. It hits me right in the nostalgia feels. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they don't like that movie before. So you guys are definitely the first.
The thing is about that statement, right? Like, I was bored as an adult, and the stuff that was presented to me in the drawn out segments was more relatable to me now than it ever would have been as a child. So as like a younger teen audience watching that, I would have probably got about 15 minutes worth of enjoyment out of this entire movie. Like, all the build up, all the story development as a kid, I wouldn't have had any idea what was going on. And I think a lot of people are looking back on this and thinking, "Oh, I loved that movie growing up." I'm like, no, you didn't. You loved 15 minutes of that movie growing up. And that's just your memories just failing you.
That was a message from Alex, AMPFX Studios, who come on the show and done... what do you do? I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know what you did last summer. Yeah.
I'm going to highlight Alex now. You need to go and check out his YouTube channel. The reason for that is his movie that he spoke about on the show and come on YouTube to talk about, Elevator Pitches, is now out. The full movie is now available on YouTube, and it's a great anthology. So go and check it out. I'll put a link to that in this episode. So click on the link and you can go there after you've been here.
It is, yeah. I haven't seen the film in its entirety because he sent us a link after the episode and stuff, and I had a baby and all the rest of it. I watched like the first 10 minutes and then got called off to a screaming child. So I will continue to watch the rest, but what I did see was fantastic. So
really,
I would
really
recommend it myself.
Do you want to go with the a little bit angry that attacks you or the very angry that attacks us both next? Those are the two we have remaining.
Let's have the one that's coming at me, and then I feel like if it's really bad and it's coming at us both, we can share.
Okay.
We can share the response.
Right.
Okay, so I had to stop listening to Death Becomes Her to record this episode because it needed to be said soon. Mark, I just want to throw that out. I find it very homophobic that you do not like. You're not even a fan of Meryl Streep. Okay, I don't know if I can move past this. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, calling me out as a hater for an entire generation.
I think there's only one thing we could say that will cover this and probably ease the pain of Jay and get a laugh out of him at least, which is this.
Please, these gays, they're trying to murder me.
Oh, that is fucking brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah,
I have no words for you, Jay. I really don't. I have no words. I'm shocked by your comments.
I'm shocked you don't like. I've heard his name has escaped me. Who is it? He's gone. Who's the actress that you don't like? That he just accused you? He's gone.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah, my mind just went blank. My mind just went. Do you have that? Like, there's times when you know what you want to say, and your brain sort of goes, "No, you forgot. I'm sorry."
Mate,
And
do
you
you
just-
listen to me back each week when we record this episode?
I try not
I
to.
do that at least twice.
I didn't attack her, Jay, is all I can say. I'm not the homophobic one of the group.
See, I'm real surprised as well, because, like, do you know what? No, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to dig myself a deeper hole. All I'm going to say is, like, Meryl Streep is probably the last person I would have that community put on a pedestal. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Like, like, it's not like a thing, is it? It's not like everyone's like, oh, Meryl Streep, she's a goddess. Do you know what I mean? Like, Kylie Minogue, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? You all love Kylie Minogue. Do you know what I mean? But, like, Meryl Streep, I don't know. I just don't see it.
Well, we do have a large contingent of gay listeners, and I'm now calling to all of you to explain to Mark that Meryl Streep is a gay icon in the same league as the likes of Cher and other artists like that. Just all
Yeah,
cover
that would have
Mark
been a
now.
good one to go with. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, you're into what you're into. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge your past comment or anything. You know what I mean? I just didn't know she was so sacred, and I apologize wholeheartedly. I really do for anybody I've offended with my comments regarding Meryl Streep. She's all right. I'm not saying she's not all right. This movie's just shit.
Well, let's get to the end of the hate, and then we can move on and talk about today's episode. So here we go. Final one. Deep breath.
Hey guys, just wanted to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't like Death Becomes Her? You don't think that it was good enough for you? Well, yeah, you really did piss off a big audience. And Mark, there is supposed to be a remake with Anne Hathaway, and you couldn't think of the other person who was going to be in it? Goldie Hawn's fucking daughter, Kate Hudson. I thought you guys did your fucking research. Ugh. Anyways, I don't respect your opinion, but I respect you, and I'm going to go watch that movie again for the second time this month because I love it. All right, guys, bye.
If you can chill the hell out for like a second, then maybe I can focus on some shit, you know?
Man, we have upset a lot of people. A lot of
We
people.
have. It was Mary or Lady Crisis that I messaged going, are we still cool? She's like, yeah, we're cool. You just pissed me off. Like, it wasn't what I wanted on my way to work. I tuned in going, Death Becomes Her. This is going to be a really fun episode. Just get you and Mark going, this is dog shit. We hate this. We hate everyone.
Man, I'm so surprised that, like, I knew this was a popular movie. I knew people liked it. And I but you're all making it out like I've gone and shit talked Hocus Pocus. You know what I mean? That's the kind of way it feels like that it's coming across. Like I have just destroyed Hocus Pocus. They're not the same sort of league, the way that you're all talking about it.
No, I agree. We've also got some comments on Spotify. One of them is aimed at me. This comes from Gareth, Video Tasties, member of the You Run Podcast Network. Well, maybe. He said, what the fucking fuck? Hudson Hawk is cinematic gold. I renounce my membership to the You Run Podcast Network, unsubscribe from all social media sites. And why did Mark not jump to its defence?
Why? I don't know why I'm expecting. People seem more disappointed in me than they do you, and that's what I don't get.
I don't get it either, but hey, I'm here for it. It's great. I do something bad, and they go, "Why did Mark not stop you?"
Oh, fuck's sake, man.
We've got one from Debut Movies. Wow, I almost didn't listen to this as I've not seen it since a kid and I hate musicals. So this was after our Little Shop of Horrors episode. He put, but I'm so glad I did because now I know Mark thinks I'm the weird fetish guy. I don't know what gives him that impression.
I mean,
could potentially be the masturbation to the show may have.
Yeah. Like I lock doors a lot more than I used to. I'll be honest.
No, you don't.
I don't.
I've never had any issue sneaking in and watching you sleep.
Do you know what? I am actually one of those really irresponsible parents where you wake up in the morning and you realise you've gone to bed without locking the doors.
Yeah.
And that's really bad when you've got kids in the house. I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, shit. I'll just pretend like I do that thing where I'm usually up first, so then I like go around and lock all the doors before my wife gets up, just in case she notices. I just left us all vulnerable to mass murder and burglary.
And we got one more. This comes from Becky from the Girl and the Gay podcast. So we heard from Jay. It's only fair to hear from Becky. This is again after. This was after Death Becomes Her. Great episode. I loved this from a young age, but appreciate it's not for everyone. I agree Bruce Willis is fun, but never understood why they were fighting over him. That's a reasonable
He
response.
saved Nakatomi Plaza. What do you mean you don't get it?
Stop picking
The guy saved Christmas.
Right. The way this works, if you are new to the show or if you're a regular listener, because that was quite an extended opening to this show because everyone hates us, we will give you a synopsis of the movie. We then talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, in no particular order. We cover kind of everything. We have lots of fun. We have lots of features. Today we've got cover notes. We give you some facts. We round up and we call it a day. Today, we're talking through a movie that could have gone in many ways. It could have been a superhero hiding in plain sight until she had a tragic accident, an alien disguised as a human, or a regular person just having a really shitty day, all of which would have made a compelling story that I would have been invested in. That being said, the writers took this in a way that is simply perfect. Starring Brian Cox, Emile Hirsch, Olwyn Kelly, today we prove to Mark that paranormal horror can be his jam, with great atmosphere, gratuitous gore, and a pair of breasts that quite honestly are magnificent, and I hate myself already for saying it. Today we're talking about the autopsy of Jane Doe.
I knew you'd do that straight away. I was like, he's going to be really pervy on this episode, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to rein it back in.
Marvin, are you in here touching my wife boobies?
Where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with the fact that this is the only movie I've ever seen that has boobs out for an hour and 20 minutes, and at one point did I go, I quite like this? Like, it's the only
I don't know.
movie
We
I've
did
ever
Dead
seen.
Girl like 3 months ago, did we not?
Yeah, like this is the only movie that like boobs are there, a little bit like Dead Girl. Boobs are there, but I'm just going, yeah,
Yeah. I never once got that kind of feeling from this movie. I mean, let's start with talking about the story in general, because I mean, for those of you who haven't seen this, what I will start off by saying is, don't listen to the rest of this episode, because this is one of those movies that plays out perfectly if you go into it knowing nothing. It gives you the most rewarding payoff by the time you get to the end if you have no idea what's going on. And we spoke about this briefly off air before we even started, because obviously this is a rewatch for me, this is a rewatch for you, and you wanted to know what my opinion was on it on a second watch. And going into it a second time, I was like, I already know the ending. Is it going to be one of those movies that doesn't quite live up to expectations because you already know what's going to happen by the time you get to the climax? No, it was fucking brilliant watching it again a second time around, even knowing where we get to in the end. And I think that's one of the most compelling things about this movie, is that it starts off in such a grounded way, almost like you're watching a thriller detective mystery similar to Silence of the Lambs or something like that, where you're thinking, oh, what's happening here? How is this going to progress? And the story slowly builds momentum throughout in such a way that you're so engrossed in the development. And for me, I think even knowing the results that happened at the end, I had such a blast watching this a second time. I don't know where you are on it, but that was my stance.
I love this. I love the fact that it starts off with that crime scene. You see the bodies of the two people killed in the house. Then they find Jane Doe, and then why this is going on. We also get to meet Emile Hirsch and Brian Cox's character, father and son, own a mortuary, and the son's going out for a date, and then they arrive with the Jane Doe, and the son decides to stay to help with the autopsy. Like, all of that, brilliant. Like, the way they build the characters in this, like, I know so much about Brian Cox and his son from the few interactions that you get. So you get they're doing an autopsy, and he's very not critical of his son, but you can tell there's an element of, I'm training you to take this from me.
Yeah,
and
it's like a legacy thing.
Yeah, it's like that. He's like, this has been in our family for 150 years. It's one of those kind of deals. And then
It
his
is, but the
girlfriend
thing is, they
turns up.
don't directly tell you that to the camera. You just know that instantly through character interactions. It's so cleverly done.
Yeah, and then the girlfriend arrives. She's like, "Have you told your dad?" He's like, "No." And you're like, "Oh, told the dad what?" Then you find out that he's going to leave. He doesn't want to be a mortician. He doesn't like it. And like instantly, you've built that tension between those three characters in a couple of lines of dialogue. And this movie moves really quick at the beginning. Like the Jane Doe comes in, and from that moment on, this movie is like bam, bam, bam. Everything hits. Everything's perfectly paced. Everything's perfectly timed. And the only thing I'll say about this is the actual autopsy is very, very long and very, very, very gory. Far more than I expected.
Yeah, it is, and it's very wince-worthy. Like I found myself a lot of times throughout this movie, like we see gore in horror, but 9 times out of 10 when we see it, it's done in such an exaggerated way that you kind of don't necessarily sort of comprehend it on the level you probably should do. But when you're watching a movie that's so grounded, such as this, where it is a genuine autopsy that happens regularly, this is what happens after death if you have suspicious circumstances surrounding your death, and it's graphic. It's very graphic in a way that you kind of see on like those A&E programs, and they have those flashing warnings at the beginning. It's like this features graphic violence, not graphic violence, but blood and gore and stuff. Like my wife really struggles with watching those sort of reality TV shows because it's real. It's real. You're seeing people in surgery and stuff like that. Like it's awful, and this movie does a really good job of translating how grounded it is by showcasing the autopsy in such a graphic way. But while we're talking about that, I think we should give major props to the actress who plays Jane Doe.
Oh, and Kelly.
Yeah, I didn't know her name, but yeah, definitely. Like she spends the entirety of the movie dead. But I think that the filmmakers themselves, they do a good job of transitioning between the shots of her as an actress and the shots between prosthetic doll. And it's so seamless. You don't even notice the transition. It's so cleverly done. And I think the cinematography and direction from this film is pitch perfect. Even throughout the setup, the way that things are shot and the way that things are placed on screen, this is such a beautiful looking movie, considering it's grounded in one place. Like it's a single set location. Even like the simplistic stuff, like when the radio gets possessed and things like that, and it zooms right in on the speakers and like honestly, it is a mastercraft in movie making. It looks gorgeous, it really does, and it captivates your attention because of these quick snapshots that this director makes as he goes throughout it.
Yeah, I think for me the bit that I was invested in this the first time I watched it. And I watched it very much under the guise of when we got to the body coming in, this was still very much a thriller. And I'm not a big thriller guy. And it was the moment when they're doing the autopsy and the son's taking photographs. He's like hair, brown, eyes. And he lifts her eye up and it's just white.
Grey.
Like that. He goes, grey. And then like he looks at his dad and say, this is weird. I've not seen this before. The dad looks at it and goes, I've only ever seen that in a body that's been dead for a long period of time. And then they start doing the other checks, like she's got no rigor mortis at all. He's like, this is like a body that would be dead a couple of hours. And then they do like the first incisions and she bleeds. And Brian Cox in this is great because he plays the full-ass skeptic all the way through.
I love how every single thing is so abnormal, but he always has a justification of why it's plausible throughout, and like that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like even when the radio's messing around, you can see like Emil Hirsch is like, oh, the radio, it's a bit creepy, and he's a bit creeped out, and he's like, his dad's like, sort that radio out. Like it's a real like the radio's obviously gone out of tune. We've got bad weather. Just fucking sort the radio out. And he's like, oh, have you ever seen one bleed like that? He's like, no, I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard about it. I've read about it. It's not unheard of. So, like, just get on with it, basically.
Yeah.
it's really clever.
Everything has a justification as to why the situation's happening. Like, I don't know. I haven't done the research. I don't know the science behind it. But he's like, oh yeah, the reason it's bleeding, I've seen this happen in a body before. It's due to inflated pressure. It very rarely happens, but it is a case. I have known it to happen in the past, and like that progresses each time. They build it in a way where like something's not right, but then every time Brian Cox says, "Oh no, it's fine. I've seen this happen before. I've only ever seen it once," even though he's a mortician and he spent his entire career dissecting bodies, for him to be like, "I've seen it once." You're like, okay. But like you also said that about the last thing. So the fact that these two things are happening throughout the same body makes me think the chances are very slim that they should be happening together.
And I want to give credit to Brian Cox. Brian Cox is an Oscar-worthy actor, and this is one of his best performances, in my opinion.
The original Hannibal Lecter, he's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and I think one of the things in this that he does really well is he shows every emotion the character can show. Like from the very beginning when he does the bit where the girlfriend wants to see a body, and she pulls the body out and it's got a bell on the foot. She's like, why has it got a bell on the foot? He's like, oh, it's an old mortician thing. It's like, then we know if like one of them is not dead, we'll hear the bell ring. She's like, oh, right. And then she goes to look at the face. And as she does, he like rings the bell. And he has like a proper chuckle to himself. He's like really happy. And then you see like the really serious side of him when he's working. And then later when things really take a turn, he is the first person who goes, yeah, do you know what? This is fucked. Let's get out of it. Like straight, no more messing. He looks around and goes, we're going to leave, like right now. I'm not going to go investigate. I don't care. Let's just go home and we'll worry about it tomorrow. Brilliant.
I think that's one of the things that screams out to me the most about these characters is how realistically they are portrayed. Do you know, like shit hits a fan and both of them immediately like, this is fucking weird. We've tested the water enough now. We need to leave.
Yeah. What would you say is your like? There's one bit in particular that's my big like moment. So when they're doing the autopsy, as they're doing it, they realise there's no bruises, there's no cuts, there's no signs on the exterior of her body that she's been harmed in any way. And then when they start doing it, like the lungs have been burnt to the extent that she should be a crispy critter, but she's not. She's got stab wounds all over her internal organs. Like, what one of those things was it that sort of made you go, oh, fuck, because there's a couple?
Do you know what? The weirdest thing is, even though it's not the most graphic of the entire movie, it's when they open the mouth and you see that her tongue is being cut off. For some reason or another, I just like that the whole tongue thing. Like, and you see and I'll be honest with you, this is where they use CGI in this movie, and it doesn't look the best, the cut of the tongue.
Yeah.
But it still was the scene in particular where I'm like, oh man, that was the one scene in particular where I was like, oh, like I was sticking my tongue out and I'm like, you kind of like try to do that thing where you're like, oh man, that's awful. Like, yeah, like that's a weird thing to not have your tongue. So when they open her mouth and her tongue's being cut, also like the fly coming out of her nose, that's really, really zoomed in on, and you see like the little legs creeping out throughout the nostril. I'm sat there like, oh, itching my nose.
Yeah, I like all of the reveals in this. So lots of the reveals happen at one time, and the best reveal for me is later on. So they pull out of her stomach, they pull the piece of cloth. They originally pull a piece of thread out of her mouth, then they pull the cloth, and the cloth's got what I interpret as some sort of spell. I'm thinking something to keep the monster at bay.
Yes. I mean, they don't give much to it, though, do they? They don't give much explanation to it, apart from the fact that later on it's revealed that it's a verse from the Bible of Leviticus.
Yeah.
I don't know what section that is. I don't know if it's New Testament, Old Testament. I have no idea.
Yeah, but
that is basically the description of the reveal that she is a witch.
Yeah, and it's not that bit, but it's when they peel back her skin and drop her skin off her back, and she's got those symbols carved on the inside of her flesh, like that,
a tattoo.
Yeah, like that whole concept of all the injuries on the inside, I think is so clever, and I love watching Brian Cox's character sort of stand there numerous times, sort of scratch his head like, oh, I'm not quite sure. And like he's getting his son to write it on the board, like, so we've got all of these injuries. So how did they happen? And his son's like, they can't because there's not a mark on her. He's like, well, you say that, but let's look at it properly because they have happened. They're there. We know they've happened. Yeah. How did they happen? What caused their death? He's like, I don't know. Any one of these injuries or any combination of these injuries could quite easily have killed her. Like that whole like puzzle solving element, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's real, and again, that's like the whole crime thriller aspect of the story that really is really well fleshed out. Something just came to me then when you're talking about disturbing elements. I think the biggest payoff for it of all of them is Brian Cox's death at the end, and how all the injuries that she's inflicted through suffering are then inflicted to him, and his sacrifice as well to save his son is so heartfelt. You know, like. It's going to shit. She's just on a warpath, and he's like, "Look, let me help you. Just spare him." You know, the compassion he has for his son and the love he has for his son is great. And then you start to see, like, obviously, when she first comes into the morgue, they discover that she's got her wrists broken, her ankles broken, and you start to see these injuries play out on Brian Cox's character. His wrists and his ankles snap, and then you see the smoke start to come out from his breath as if his lungs are burning. The scene that particularly got me is when he's reaching for the knife, and I was like, oh no, he's going to cut his own tongue out. I'm like, oh no, don't cut your own tongue out. And it's not. Eventually, Emile Hirsch has to kill his dad in order to, and that's one of the elements. Like the ending always really shocks me because you think that Emile Hirsch's character is fine. He's like, this is it, it's freedom. He's banging on the storm gates. He's about to get out. And then he gets kicked off the balcony, snaps his neck, and he's dead. And I always wonder every time I watch it, I'm like, is that because Brian Cox's character didn't completely fulfill the ritual of suffering?
Yeah.
And he didn't lose his tongue and all the rest of the things. And I'm like, because he was in such pain and such agony, he just wanted it to end. Is it was like, because he couldn't tolerate it and he couldn't take the pain and he took the short way out. Is that why she then continued? Because the ritual wasn't fully complete?
Yeah, because the way I understand the ritual is she wants to pass from one to another. So she wants to get out of the body she's in and get into Brian Cox. And in order to do that, he needs to go through everything she went through. And then she can move on or pass on or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think
I don't think it was a case of her getting into him. It was more
her getting out.
Somebody else being... Yes.
Yeah.
It was revenge. She wanted somebody else to endure the suffering she had.
Yeah, and because that didn't happen, I think she kind of just went on a bit of a warpath. And like, I love the paranormal element of this as well. It's handled so delicately. Like the initial shots you get where Emile Hirsch is like walking through the corridors and he looks up and you see those mirrors you get in like shops. They've got those on
when
the
you
corners.
go around like a sharp corner on a country lane.
Yeah, and he looks at one of those and there's someone in the corridor. And he goes, that's a bit weird. And he goes and walks there and looks down the corridor and there's no one there. And then when he comes back, the person's back in the mirror. Like all of those really subtle, you know something's bad, but it's not in your face, is great. And they gradually build to where it does get in your face. Like the bit when you first hear someone walking around, you hear a bell ting. That's like, oh no, I know what that is. I don't want to see it.
No. And thankfully enough, they do keep a lot of that stuff well caged. They don't showcase a lot of it on screen. It is done through small glances and tidbits and stuff like that. One thing that I didn't have I will say, like, this movie impacted me just as much the second time as it did the first. But one thing that I didn't get the same shock value from was the death of Emile Hirsch's girlfriend. But I did notice the subtle build up to it. Like they mentioned early on as she leaves, it's like, oh look, listen, we'll get this done. You come back and pick me up at 11 o'clock. And you notice a few flashes towards the clock throughout the film as it's getting closer and closer to 11 o'clock. And it's like 11:15, shit starts to really kick off. This is when they're trying to get to the lift elevator, if you're American, to get out of the basement area. And the axe wound to kill his girlfriend from Brian Cox, like that that first time I saw that play out, I didn't see it coming. Obviously, this time I knew it was going to happen, and I picked up on the tidbits of introduction that it was going to happen because they literally present it to you. But when it happens, I was like, oh, shit, man, I cannot believe it. I did not see that coming. But yeah, man, that was probably one of the only things on a rewatch that I felt underwhelmed me as much as it did the first time. Which I'm only mentioning because, in contrast, this movie hinges itself very heavily on its reveal.
Yeah.
But I didn't suffer from knowing the reveal on a second rewatch. It was just that initial death of her character that I was like, yeah, okay, I already know that one. But the first time I watched it, it blew my mind.
Yeah, I think the attention to detail of how they sort of preempt everything. So you get the bit where Brian Cox's cat is injured, and he snaps its neck, and then he puts it in the incinerator. And then when they realise that shit, this is a witch, and he tries to get her out to take her down to the incinerator, and all hell breaks loose, and the lights go out, and all the bodies are missing. He's like, "Ah, fuck it, we'll just burn her here." And like when they set her on fire, that is fantastic.
Really, really cool.
It looks amazing as well. And I don't know if that was actually a fire or CGI, but it looks really.
It was
really
CGI. Good. It looked a bit wonky this watch, but still amazing. It's still amazing. But this was that was a wonky CGI moment along with the tongue. But you mentioned the cat as well. Like the cat is such a simplistic thing in the story, but it has such a great payoff in terms of the character development because when he kills the cat, we have such a brief and subtle conversation between Brian Cox and his son, explaining that his wife has died and Emil Hirsch's mum has died, and he says that was the last thing I had that belonged to your mum. Do you know what I mean? He even says he's like the cat was a pain in the ass and nothing but trouble, but it was her cat and that was the last thing I had of hers. You know, and that gives a little bit more context to why he's trying to basically care for his son in a way that he's like, right, she's gone. I'm all you've got left. I want this for you and I want this life for you and you need to be. And it just gives you more idea of why he's so harsh on him in the situations he is. It's because he's trying to make sure that he can survive on his own without his dad.
Yeah, and it's the whole movie's really heartfelt between those two characters. And I really buy into the fact that they are father and son. Like it works. Yeah. Their chemistry's perfect. Like even the bit where he wants to go to the movies with his girlfriend at the beginning. His dad's like, yeah, it's fine. You go. I can sort this out. And that sort of moment where he's like, oh, look, fuck, I know I'm leaving. I know I'm not going to be able to do this with him forever because I'm going. I'm gonna give him this one. It's kind of that like I'm going to give him this because it's going to be an interesting case. And I really like. Yeah, and I really like that dynamic, and I really like the cat in this. I know that sounds stupid, but the cat is the only one that knows from the off that there's something fucking wrong with Jane Doe. When they wheel her in, the cat is like, like no, and he tells the cat off. He's like, "Fuck off, Jinx," or whatever it's called. And then he turns around to the cop. He goes, "That cat's a nasty bastard." You're like, "Oh, okay then."
Yeah, and again, such subtlety, but it all has relevance, you know, and it's really, really cleverly done. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with a lot of paranormal movies is they are very genetic and very churned out. And I don't know whether you would classify this as paranormal. Do you classify witches as paranormal?
It's a
I think it's a tightrope to walk on it. Yeah, it's hard to distinguish between the two, but.
I think it depends on how they portray the witch. So if you've got a witch in there, that's not paranormal. But in this instance, I think it does lean more to sort of paranormal / demonic. But they give you the reveal, actually, it's a witch. Like the whole movie is very much like they could have changed this out to it being a demon trapped in this girl, and it still works exactly the same, still plays out exactly the same.
Like you know what? Yeah, it does, and it's just come to me now in this conversation here that one of the biggest selling points for me in terms of digestibility is the fact that it's such a simple throwaway conversation between Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch is when he turns around to him, they've discovered everything. They go in and do the final sort of autopsy and discover that she's alive still and that her brain is still functioning. And they come to terms with the fact that she is a witch and finally accept what it is. They have a conversation between the two of them and they say how she was just an innocent girl, like so many of them were from New England, Salem, witch trials and all the rest of it. And it was probably due to the suffering and the torturous rituals that she endured that made her what she is. And for me, I was like, yeah, man, I'm in on that. I am more in on that than the fact that she is just an outright witch. I'm more in on the fact that the suffering and pain she has endured, pushing her to her entire limits, is what's caused her to be bound by this eternal suffering. And for me, it was just such a simple conversation, and I was just like, perfect. That is perfect for me to completely be on board with the advanced supernatural element direction that you're taking this in.
Yeah, and like I love when you've got all the corpses up, walking around, and the witches controlling them, and they're like banging on doors and trying to get in. Like all of that is awesome. Like the bit when they run and they hide or they run to get the phone in his office, and they blocked the door, and you can see the light, and then you see the shadow of 2 feet, and as the second foot comes in, the bell rings. It's like, so good. Like I think the bell is a great tool in this, because they, just by dinging the bell, you know what it is, and they don't need to show you. And we say it all the time: what you don't see is scarier than what you do.
And that's it. And I think in terms of actual scares, this is a very jump scare heavy movie. And I hate jump scares, but they are so perfectly crafted within this movie. Like the tension building from the score and the ultimate payoff of the jump scare that doesn't overstay its welcome. It comes and it goes very quickly. I never once felt cheated by it. Do you know, like a lot of the times that you do in such like Conjuring movies, or one of the biggest culprits for it is the Woman in Black with the whole Harry Potter recasting thing. That is like the worst version of a jump scare horror movie you will ever encounter in your life. But when you take this movie in comparison to the two, it's just a masterclass on how you utilize jump scares to their full potential without overstating their use. You know, it's they do it very early on, even just with a simplistic thing where his girlfriend jumps out at him, where he's feeling a bit suspicious about something, and it's her. And like, oh, that's cheap, that's lazy. But it's almost as if to say, this is what they are, but watch what we're about to do for the next 60 minutes. And I'm like, shit, man, actually, that is how you do it. That is how you do it. And they do it time and time again. There must be at least 6, 7, 8 of them in this movie, and every single one of them lands perfectly, apart from that first one with the good girlfriend. I'm like, that's cheap, man. But I almost feel like they put that in there purposefully to say, this is what you're used to. Watch what we're about to do for you.
Yeah, and they craft them so well. So the way the score is in this, it builds up, and then it lulls, and then it builds up, and then it lulls. But it's like that all the way through. So you're used to that kind of and they'll hit you with a jump scare when it's on a down. So they won't hit you on a jump scare when it's on a big bang note. They'll hit it when it's like, there'll be a big bang note and there's nothing. And then it lulls. And then there's nothing. And then it tips up again and there's nothing. And it dips down. And when it dips down the second time, you're like, fucking, drink's been thrown in the air. You've fallen off the sofa. You've kicked the dog. Like, it's that level of craftsmanship that you don't see them coming. Some of them you do, but most of them are just bang out of nowhere. They're so good.
Yeah, and they have ones where they like have the expected moment of jump scare. So like when they're in the biggest one of an example for me is when they go to Brian Cox's office to use the landline phone. And then you've got the footsteps underneath the door.
Yeah.
So like he looks underneath that door like 2 or 3 times to the point where you're like, yeah, nothing's coming. This is just, and then it hits you. And then again, when Brian Cox looks behind the curtain, he looks behind the curtain and you have like a minute of relief where there's nothing behind the curtain. and they almost engage in dialogue again, and then bang, it just drags him from out the room. You're like, oh shit, you know, it times it perfectly enough where you're like, I expect a jump scare now, but then it gives you that breather afterwards enough where you're expected to settle back into it where it's not going to happen, and then it just wipes the rug from underneath you immediately. And I think it's flawlessly executed. It really is.
Yeah, they do it a couple of times in this where they do back-to-back jump scares as well. So they hit you with one, and like the second you've gone, oh shit, there's another one, and they like, it's almost like Zombieland, like double tap you, but with jump scares.
Yeah, they
like,
do.
Have one, have another one.
Yeah, and you're just so blindsided by it every time. And even on a rewatch, I still felt it. I still felt it had the same impact for me the first time. I always find myself when I watch this movie in a constant state of on the edge of my seat. And I know what happened. I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, I think long and short of it, it's great. Shall we take a break?
Sure thing.
When you finish this episode, head over to yourunpodcast.com and check out some of our other network members. There's Voices from the Mausoleum, your home for horror on YouTube. Everything from found footage to remakes to conspiracy theories. They even have a horror coffee morning. This is the place for you, so check out Voices from the Mausoleum. Also available on the You Run Podcast Network, the horror-friendly podcast hosted by Katie and Chantel. This hilarious horror movie review show covers horror movies from the past, the present, and even the future when they cover movies that are only at film festivals. This is a show you must check out. These and many other shows all available at yourunpodcast.com, so head to our website today.
So make sure you go over to yourunpodcast.com, check out the other members of the network. There's so much there to keep you entertained. Also, a link to our first movie, and our sequel is coming in a couple of months' time. So go and give that a watch before the sequel drops on the 20th of December. Not that that was a cheap plug for my movie. Anyway, moving on. Let's do some facts. So Olwen Kelly, the girl who plays Jane Doe, she filmed for 5 weeks, doing 8 hours a day filming. She spent 8 hours a day for 5 weeks straight, 7-day shoots, naked, laying on a table full of men and people looking at her. She said in interviews she was really worried about what it was going to be like. And then the director has said that she made everyone else feel comfortable. He said, like, the whole cast, everyone, including myself, is like, there's a girl laying on that bed, like, naked. She's been there for 5 hours now. He said, and she's like sitting up and joking and laughing. No, it's fine. And apparently it was her that made everyone at ease with the naked lady in the room.
Yeah, and I think she's very understated in this movie. Like, it must be so hard to do nothing. Like, I know people can act and they can be actors, but to play dead like that for so long, for so many hours throughout the day, yeah, hats off to her, man. I think she did an incredible job.
There was 2 reasons she was chosen, or 2 of the reasons she was chosen is, one, she was a model and she had posed totally naked before, so she was comfortable with being nude. And the other one, she is very, very heavy into her yoga, and part of that she can control her breathing, which meant less editing for the director because she could slow her breathing down so her chest wasn't up and down, like heavy breathing all the time. So that was one of the other reasons she was selected, which I thought was really clever.
Yeah, and this time again, like, I'd seen this movie a few times, so I had the time to sort of process a lot of this stuff. That was one of the key things I was looking out for. I was like, can I notice the difference? Can I see her breathing? Can I see her moving? Can I notice the transitions between her as an actress and her as prosthetics? And I honestly couldn't throughout the entirety of the movie. It's so seamless.
No, really, really good. We nearly got someone else instead of Brian Cox. Martin Sheen was originally attached to this project. He dropped out due to scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, they made the right call with that. I like Martin Sheen. I think he's a great actor, but I think Brian Cox is god tier performance in this movie.
Yeah, I'd agree. So the director of this, I'm going to butcher his name, Andre Overdal, was inspired to make this movie after he went and watched The Conjuring in 2013. He walked out of the theatre, contacted his agent, and said, "Find me a decent horror script because I can do it better."
And he did. He massively did.
Do you want to know
And
where
that's
they
the thing.
filmed
I even talking about jump scares. I actually used Conjuring as a comparison to how good this is. So the fact that he's taken that movie and been like, "This is how it should have been done." Yeah, he succeeded.
Do you know where they found the script for this?
No.
This was found on the Blacklist. So the Blacklist in Hollywood is a place that scripts go, and they just sit there. And every now and then, a big studio will have a scroll through, or a director or a producer will have a look through some of these Blacklist scripts and just pick it out. It had been there for 5 years when it was discovered by this director.
Wow. That's cool. Do you know what's curious about this as well is they do set it up for a sequel.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad it's never come to fruition because I don't think it needs it. But
no,
the opportunity was there, and it was presented as if they were going to be like, if this does really well, we'll cash in on this. But yeah, I'm thankful that this is a one and done.
It didn't do very well. We'll talk about that in a second. Brian Cox spent 2 months working in a morgue to ensure his performance was authentic, and Emil Hirsch attended 10 to 12 real-life autopsies to understand the process. So they both put in the work.
That's mad, isn't it? Like, that's mad that they would do that and have that level of dedication for such a movie. Like, I don't know, like, that's wild to me. Like, I'm curious as a person, and I would like to attend something like that. I would like to see it for the experience. But I know in my heart of hearts that I wouldn't enjoy it.
No,
so, like, when actors do this sort of Methodist stuff where they go in and put the effort to get it, like, you see some of them like, oh yeah, I went and lived on the streets for like 2 weeks, which must be a vast comparison to some of the lifestyle that these guys live. But yeah, man, that's heavy. That's heavy stuff to work in a morgue for 2 weeks.
2 months.
2 months, sorry.
Yeah, and not only that, you imagine like coming home to like your wife. You work in the morgue. You come home to your wife. You go. You never guess who's just started as an intern at our place. Like, she's not going to believe you, is she? When you go, Brian Cox is like the guy who's just like bringing bodies around for us now. Wild.
Yeah, it's wild. What's wild is the actual profession as it is. It's like, I've got a friend who I used to go to school with. Okay, this guy, I love him to bits. I'm not going to say his name on the show. We've had some wild nights, drug-fueled, wild teenage nights. He's now running one of the biggest funeral directors within my community, within the area. And he's such a professional, you know, like he does the whole walking in front of the cars, and he goes out to families who have just lost loved ones, and he takes the bodies and he presents them, and like, it's his whole business. Like, he's like, that's his business, you know. And like, I know what I've done with this guy. Like, I've had nights with this dude, and it's wild to know that.
Was he at the Diddy parties too? Was he with the Diddy?
He was there, man. He was there. He lived it. He experienced it with me. And like, he has one of the most respected professions within our community now. And it's just wild, man. It's wild, like, because death as a whole, regardless of your belief system, is such a big thing to have to put your faith in somebody else after it's happened.
Yeah.
Do you know, like I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying, like, my point is like,
I know what you mean.
From what he was as a person that I know to what he is now, and how much trust everybody puts in him, it's wild to know that that's the direction his life has taken him.
Yeah,
and that all started from him losing a grandparent. He lost a grandparent when we were younger. Got talking to the funeral director at that time. Started working for that funeral director as an apprentice, and then just set up on his own, and now he's just like massive. Absolutely. Wow. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. Wild career path. Definitely not for me.
He was a mechanic before that as well.
Oh, was he? Well, I suppose it's kind of the same. He's still working under the hood of something. How much do you reckon this movie cost to make?
15 million.
No. 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
4
so how was
million
it not successful? Surely box office numbers would have supplied it with more than 4 million.
How much do you think it made at the global box office?
Even at a low end, I'm going to say 60 million.
6.
Fuck.
Mm.
Right, now, we've just come off the back of Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
Autopsy of Jane Doe is cult status movie.
Yeah. So this didn't get a wide cinema release. It was released in like a handful of theatres in the US. It didn't get a cinema release here. Didn't get a cinema release across most of Europe. So it done streaming deals. Those numbers are closely guarded. But I read somewhere the other day, it's estimated that the streaming deals over the time from when it was released to now exceed $150 million.
Oh, easily.
So
this is a very, very well-loved movie.
Yeah,
and it's understandable why. It's just taken a lot of time for it to reach certain audiences. But I still know people now who are only just discovering this movie. Like we do the podcast and stuff like that. I don't have a tight-knit group of people who get what I do. They don't quite understand my obsession with horror and things like that, and they talk to me all the time about horror because they occasionally watch a movie and like, oh, I watched this movie the other day and it was like, you'll get it. I'm like, I don't, because it's fucking shit. But yeah, okay, nice one. But 9 times out of 10, when they do come to me and like, oh, I saw Autopsy of Jane Doe the other day. Have you seen it? I'm like, yeah, of course I've fucking seen it. It's amazing. Can you believe how good that movie is? Like, yeah, I can believe it because I've seen it. It's a great movie. This is why I watch horror.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that, like you say, people discover it late. People are still finding it now. And I hope that people who've listened to this who haven't seen it, if you decided to listen all the way through, you're mad. But if you have, now go and watch it. It's currently on Netflix in the UK. I don't know where it is everywhere else. Cover notes. So we do a feature on cover notes where we asked you to replace the cover note on the poster. So for the Autopsy of Jane Doe, it's Everybody Has a Secret, which, to be fair, is actually quite a good one. The reason I chose this for cover notes is I wanted to see how well you would do with something that was already good. Let's have a look, see if you guys do any better.
How pervy does this go? Just out of curiosity.
It's all right till the end.
All right, okay.
Lady Crisis went with, watch this with your grandpa.
I would love to see his reaction to this movie. If she hasn't done that reel already, please, Mary, do that.
No, unfortunately, Grandpa's now in a home. He's moved up to Florida with Mary, but he's in a home now. He's not the grandpa he was a year ago, unfortunately. And sending lots of love to Grandpa, Mary, and lots of love to you. And I hope you're cleaning up nicely after the hurricane. Even though you had a go at us, we still love you lots and lots.
Agreed. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. The guy's a legend. I have never even met him, but I love him unconditionally, and I'm very sorry to hear that, Mary.
Yeah, he is awesome. Go and find at Lady Crisis 7 on TikTok. Scroll back through it. Any reel with any video with Grandpa on it is honestly gold. His Bone Tomahawk video is absolutely fantastic. They watched Bone Tomahawk together. Like, his reaction to that movie is just perfect. So yeah, go and check those out.
I think what she does with her grandpa in those reels is very heartwarming. You know, like I watch those and I almost immediately get a sense of, yeah, man, cherish every moment of life. You know, because like life is short and life is cruel in many instances. And I watch those reels that she does with her grandpa, and I sit there and I'm like, oh man, I'm so heartwarmed by these videos because no matter what happens in the future, and obviously the situation with her grandpa at the moment is very sad and very tragic, but like she will always have those moments, you know, that they will be there forever for her. And it makes me almost be like, I need to do more with the people around me, you know, and if anything, Mary, hats off to you, because those reels alone have inspired me to be a better person with the people around me. So
me as well. Mary, you're awesome. Now it starts going downhill from there, from that lovely heartfelt moment.
Yeah, right. We've gone from that to this.
Like the movie Misfit, everyone has a bush. Their horror account. And we do get a shot of the very 70s or 1870s Bush in this that caught me so off
Do you know
guard.
what the funniest thing about this is? Is when I was watching this movie, my immediate thought was, oh, well, she's managed to shave her legs, though. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. AMPFX Studios, this is Alex, whose movie Elevated Pictures is out now on YouTube, and the link is in the bio. Her eyes are up here.
That was good.
Dad's Got Steel, went with a serious one. They're a physical media collector and toy collector as well. They went, the deeper you dig, the less you uncover, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And very spoiler heavy, but yeah.
Yeah, over to Mark's arch nemesis, randomly Eric. He's going to round this off. Welcome to the reverse necrophilia where the corpse fucks you.
I shouldn't laugh as much as that because I don't like this dude.
Yeah,
that is probably the best of the evening.
and Eric's great. Do you want to round this up first, or should I?
I will, because I'm going to keep it very, very short tonight, because there isn't a lot that I want to say that hasn't already been said in the episode. This movie, for me, is flawless. I think this is the best movie to have come out, and I feel like it deserves the same sort of status as Ari Aster's Hereditary. I think it is on par with Hereditary, and I think that this movie has flown under the radar for so long, and it deserves more recognition. It is a perfect horror movie. It is a masterclass in suspension building and perfect execution. The casting's incredible. The direction is pitch perfect. I have nothing but good stuff to say about this movie. I couldn't pick a fault in it if I tried. It's a 5 out of 5. If I could score it higher, I would. I love The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Done. Mic drop. That is the quickest roundup I've ever done in my life.
It genuinely is.
Take that, Dave B. Movies.
Please, these gays, they're trying to murder me.
Obviously, that wasn't aimed at Dave either. You threw Dave B. Movies when I'd already hit the bit. I'd already hit the start point when you said sexual orientation Dave B. Movies is, but oh man, I could just feel that.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
The voicemails next week are all going to be aimed at me. Autopsy of Jane Doe, I absolutely adore this movie. This was a movie that I discovered completely by accident. One of those evenings where I'm going, oh, there's nothing to watch. This will do. It was one of those. It was a this'll do movie.
Yeah, that was the same for me.
It's so well crafted. Brian Cox, I think, is a fantastic actor. He's got some shitty opinions on politics that he likes to share at the moment, but take that aside, his acting ability is second to none. Emil Hirsch is also a shitty guy in real life, but in this, his acting ability is fantastic. It's just a great movie. I can't fault it. I enjoy it. I watch this, I don't know, probably once a year. It'll pop up on Netflix or Prime. It sort of bounces between them. So when it leaves Netflix, it arrives on Prime. When it leaves Prime, it goes back to Netflix. And I always watch it whenever I see it. It's great. It's a 5 out of 5 from me. And yeah, I haven't got anything else to say either. It's a great movie.
No, it is perfect. I didn't want to interrupt your roundup, but why are these dudes shitty? I love them both. Amelia, I watched him in a movie recently with the guy who played the main villain in Blade, Stephen Dorff or something like that. He was great. He was a great psychopath in that movie. If you go back to my review page, it's like the 4th or 5th one down. I watched it recently. He was quite good in that. But what I'm more curious now, and I suppose the listeners are as well, as to why these dudes are shitty. Like, what's Brian Cox's politics views?
Brian Cox has just he's a really outspoken, very right-wing kind of guy. And he's, I don't know, he's very much rhetoric in things that I don't necessarily agree with. He's very old school in his mentality. And I watched him on a show the other day where he was just ranting and raving and talking over this girl who was trying to, like, every time she tried to speak, he done like almost like angry Brian Cox acting, where he like wiggled his finger and told her to shut up, and then talked over and like he really like got under my skin. Emil Hirsch, I can't remember what he'd done. I'm actually googling it now. Yes, Emil. I thought it was Emil Hirsch was charged with felony assault on a young lady.
So he beats up women.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, he hasn't done it since 2015, but he has been accused of it since 2015. He hasn't been charged.
He's just flying. He's just doing it at night time now. Just keeping a low profile.
Exactly that.
It's a shame because he's a good actor and he had a very promising career. He did this and he did like one of those Netflix. There's a real weird Netflix movie that he was the main star of, where it was like people had superpowers and it was like a real corrupt organization surrounding it. It was really good and he was fantastic in it. But yeah, if he's beating up females, then yeah, he needs to slap himself. That's really bad. As for Brian Cox, should I give him a pass for just being old school?
I'll be honest, Brian Cox is just a bit of a cock in real life.
Yeah, it's a generational thing, man. We all have that grumpy old grandpa who think women belong in the kitchen. He's at an age now where we should let it fly, I suppose.
Yeah,
even though he's wrong, and we all know he's very wrong in doing so and having those opinions, you can't change somebody that old.
No, this is very true. He's still a cock. Anyway,
I feel like I'm in the wrong for now trying to justify Brian Cox's actions. I don't agree with them. I'm just saying. He's a treasure. Leave him alone.
If you want to support Mark when I have to sack him from the You Run podcast and want to give him some money, please go and buy one of the Oozing Daddy Vibes t-shirts from our shop. That's it for this week. We're going to be back next week. We actually know what we're doing next week as well. Shall we share?
Yeah, because it's a first time watch for me, and I'm very excited because I know this is well loved, similar to what Death Becomes Her was. So I might trash this as well. Who knows?
I really hope you don't, because this is well loved by me. This sits in my top 10 horror movies of all time.
Oh, okay.
Of all time.
So your credibility is on the line as well next week.
100% it's not. This is a 5 out of 5 perfect movie in every way, shape or form. Spoilers for next week. We're going to be covering Battle Royale. And I can't believe you've not seen it. It's the Hunger Games for grown-ups.
So this is a Japanese, Korean?
Korean. I think
Korean movie. I'm right, because I have a real big issue with dubbing. Am I best to watch this subtitles?
Subtitle this, yeah, definitely.
Yes, definitely 100% subtitle it. Right, okay.
Yeah, I can't film. Well, we'll talk about it next week. That's the whole point of having next week's episode. We're not doing it now. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will catch you all next week. And yeah, Battle Royale. We know what we're doing. So see you soon.
See you next week, guys.
You want to die tonight?
Oh, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. You run podcasts, horror movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread.
shit, you know.